Are ticket prices really that much more expensive today than they were back in the day? Would you rather stay home and listen to music tracks rather than go to the stadiums and arenas and spend your hard-earned money? And what's too much for the average white man? You're going to learn all of these as we go back into the day. I was an amateur before turning professional. Here's my conversation with AWB. From the LP AWB at WNYU, Stereo 89.1, an old Isley Brothers tune, I've Got Work to Do. And in the studio now with myself, Kingsley Smith, we have one of the members of AWB, the Average White Band. His name is Malcolm. How you doing, Malcolm?
I'm doing fine, how are you?
All right, and Malcolm, you are the sax player.
I'm the tenor sax player.
Okay, first thing I really want to know is the name. The Average White Band. I mean, the connotation being mediocrity. So I'd like you to explain that to everybody.
Well, the truth about the name is that we couldn't find a name. You know, you try getting 6 guys to agree on the name for a group. Somebody stood up after 5 hours of arguing and said, "This is all too much for the average white man." Somebody said, the Average White Band, okay, that's it. Let's go home. And we left it at that. It was almost a joke. It stuck. The Average White Band, okay, and this is the second LP on Atlantic? It's the first on Atlantic. We did one on MCA called Show You last year.
How would you describe the type of music that the group does?
Heavily influenced by American R&B. We just do it as it comes out. We're obviously influenced by what was around us in Britain as well.
So you wouldn't tag yourself then as a rhythm and blues band? You're just playing American-influenced music?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you'd be better qualified to define it than I am. We enjoy it, heavily influenced by what we all grew up listening to, which was American rhythm and blues and jazz and soul, you know.
The group is from Britain.
We're all Scottish.
I remember when I was in London in 1970, one thing that struck me about the country as being very unique as far as the music goes was the appreciation for black music over there, because I don't think there's as much love for rhythm and blues in this country as there was over in London when I was there in 1970. I remember some of the high chart records in the top 30 were records that were hits here long ago from some Motown acts. Is rhythm and blues still that popular over there?
It faded a bit, but it's coming back quite heavily now. I mean, there's always been Motown, of course, in the charts. It's very difficult. I mean, you know the situation there with radios, one major radio station, so what they decide to play is what makes it.
Is music going in 2 directions over there now? I know there's a heavy move toward the Euro rock thing with the Emerson, Lake and Palmer type, the PFM type of sound. Is there another segment that's going in the other direction?
The last 2 years, there's a lot of guys doing what we did, which is said, you know, let's play the music we want to. Because let's face it, I mean, nobody was making any money doing R&B in England. I don't know if they were here, but we decided to do it because that's what we really enjoy.
So your band, the Average White Band, AWB, is more or less a good omen of something to come.
Definitely, yeah.
All right, this is WNYU Radio. The guest in the studio is Malcolm, the sax player from the Average White Band. They have a new LP out on Atlantic Records, 6 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. My name is Kingsley Smith from the AWB LP now. We're going to listen to Picking Up the Pieces. Picking Up the Pieces from AWB at WNYU from their LP AWB. And that particular tune was written by the lead guitarist, or part of it was written by the lead guitarist, Hamish. Picking Up the Pieces, what was that song all about when it was put together?
Well, it was very much a put-together thing by the band, based around a couple of ideas from Hamish and Roger, the keyboard player. The name of the song came about because it was exactly that. Everybody was picking up the pieces and getting into it, a groove.
I can agree with that. The band is going to be AWB, that band, that is. I don't want anybody to confuse it with anybody else. They're going to be performing tonight at the Bottom Line. And you've been there for a few days, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, and there are 2 shows there. One's at 8:30, the second show's at 11:30 tonight, along with Elvin Bishop. We were talking about the difference between playing small auditoriums, small halls like the Bottom Line, compared to larger
festivals. Has AWB played on that scale?
We have done some things in Europe especially. Anything that's really, really big, it's not a nice feeling. You have no communication. You can't get anything back from the audience. I went to see Marvin Gaye last week out here. Was it Nassau?
Nassau Coliseum, right.
And I was up the back and, you know, I'd rather have stayed at home with the album because it was just too big, you know.
He's going to be playing at Radio City for an entire week.
Now that'll be a different thing.
But the thing is, ticket prices are sort of astronomical. It's funny because the people who bought those 70-cent singles all through the mid-'60s to put him where he is today can't really afford to pay the prices that he's charging us.
Yeah.
It's a strange thing when the artist gets to a point where he doesn't really know who his real public is and he just sort of forgets about them.
Well, this is a dangerous thing, I suppose, but the business side is usually very little to do with the artist when it gets to that scale of things.
That's true, because it's a business. From the AWB album now, we're going to hear another thing. This one is Nothing You Can Do. That's the one we're going to hear. What came about in the writing of this tune? What was this one all about?
It was just quite an emotional, straightforward song, which was Alan's idea. Nothing really to say except that. You can hear it.
It's real, you know you're with me all the time.
AWB and Nothing You Can Do at WNYU Radio. Joining us now is
Hamish.
Hamish.
Yeah.
Hamish is the lead guitarist and one of the vocalists in the band. And along with Hamish, we have Malcolm, who is sax man with the group AWB. And I saw the show last night at the Bottom Line. I was very impressed with it. I'm not just saying that. I really thought it was excellent. As far as your influences from vocalists go, who were your favorites and who do you think you're getting some of your stuff?
A lot of people, an awful lot of people. Marvin Gaye, Johnny Taylor, the Spinners, all the groups and all the solo vocalists.
Most of the black singers and the R&B groups were mainly your influence. Are there any other influences from any other musical areas which you think you sort of combined into your style?
I don't think so, no.
There weren't any other big performers that you really were into other than the R&B people?
Nobody else, no.
Okay. That's
I mean, you can't get better than Marvin Gaye and Aretha Franklin, can you, really?
All right, I'll agree with that.
As far as singing goes.
But from my unbiased opinion, I just wanted to see if there was another side to the people that you really enjoyed. AWB, once again, is appearing at the Bottom Line. They'll be there for the last evening tonight. Are you guys on a tour now?
Not right now. When we finish the Bottom Line, we're going out to California, do the Troubadour out in LA for a week, and then we hope to be going on tour with Billy Cobham up the West Coast.
In your act, you get into a lot of jazzy sounding things, especially Malcolm and the keyboard man. What's his name?
Roger.
Right, he and both of you double up on saxes. It reminds me of those sax battles from some of the saxmen, Sonny Stitt and some of those other people.
That was a big influence on Roger and I. We used to play jazz, and we were influenced by a lot of people like Cannonball Adderley and Coltrane and all the wonderful guys you had over here.
How did you guys decide that you were going to work some of those jazzier things into the act? For instance, last night at the Bottom Line, you did Teasin', something King Curtis, Eric Clapton, Delaney Bramlett did. How did you decide that you were going to work some jazz into the act? Because I know a lot of, quote, rock groups stay away from that side of the musical world. They stay away from the horns. And I thought it was kind of unique and good and new to see everything being worked in together. Whose decision was that to do that?
There wasn't decision to work these things in. It really happened just by playing gigs like you saw last night, and developed over the last couple of years.